Okay, we are going to start Unit 14, Section 1. And in this unit, we're going to be talking about percent of change and percent applications. So learning to calculate things such as tax, sales tax, tips at restaurants, looking at how companies may mark up or discount items. So that's really what this unit's about. The first thing we want to look at is when we calculate percent of change, it really is a ratio. So that, if you remember, we're going to be working in fraction form, which then will help us work in percent. So we're going to find a ratio of the amount of increase or decrease to the original amount. So we can also think about this as change over the original amount. When we calculate the change, it's always the bigger number minus the smaller number. So you find that difference, that equals your change, and then you put that on top of your original. So let's go ahead and look at number 1. We're looking for our change, so we're going to say the bigger number is 36, subtract 27, and all of that is over our original amount, which is 27. When we subtract 36 minus 27, we get 9 over 27. We know that fraction simplifies to 1/3, which as a decimal, it's 0.33 repeating. We also know that decimal as a percent. We're going to move our decimal 2 places to the right. So we have 33.3 repeating percent. And because our new amount was higher than our original, we know this is a percent increase. Okay, so we said that was a percent increase. We're going to do the same thing for number 2. We're going to find our change and put that on top. So we have 275, which is the larger number. Subtract 66. All of that over our original amount, which is 275. When you simplify that, you should get 209 over 275. That as a decimal is 76 hundredths. Again, that's 76%. This time, however, we are working with a percent decrease because our new amount is much less than the original. You can either draw arrows like I've done here or write the words increase or decrease. Okay, so following that same pattern, I want you to try numbers 3 and 4, and I'm going to skip down here to finding a new amount. So it says we want to increase 120 by 70%. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply our original amount, 120, times 100%, because we want all of that 120 included, plus an additional 70%. So the 100% is always there, and you're going to add the 70% because this is an increase. So we're going to still multiply 120 times 170%. We know 170% equals 1.7. When we do that, your new amount is 204. Again, if you were to look at that, you can see that it would make sense. 70% on top of 120 equals 204. Okay, this next one, we're going to do the same thing. However, now we're doing a decrease. So we're still going to multiply our original amount of 125. And you probably have guessed it already. We're going to take our original 100% and we're going to take away the 36% because it's a decrease. When we do that, we have 125 times 64%, which equals 125 times 0.64. When you do that multiplication, you should end up with a product of 80. Okay, moving right along, we're going to look at the first word problem together. It says there were 80 spectators at the first baseball game of a season. The number of spectators increased by 75% from the first game to the last game of the season. How many spectators were at the last game in the season? So we know this is a percent increase problem. We're going to start with our original amount of 80. We're going to multiply, still keeping that 100%. This time we're going to add 75% because we know we're increasing it. That equals 80 times 175%. 80, this equals 1.75 as a decimal. When you do that multiplication, you should end up with a 140 spectators. I'm going to leave number 2 for you to try, again using that same pattern. And then last but not least, there are a few review problems with solving equations that I would like for you to practice. If you have any questions at all on the percent of change, please ask your teacher. Thanks so much.